Hello. Hope everyone is doing well. Welcome to David Galata, Book Dreamer. And, well, as you can see, I'm working here in the ship and trying to get things all set up for the next event. And that I'm going to be talking about next week. So stay tuned. I've got some really nice things planned coming up. And, I'm even going to write a little note to make sure that you see it. And that is I'm making an announcement next week. So there we go. It's all written down. This way I don't forget. Write things down. That's my advice. Write things down. So last time I tried this, my poor microphone died and things did not work out well, and I had to take down that YouTube installment. But this time I am getting to it. Just a brief bio about myself, because people have been curious about who I am. Yes, my name has always been David Galata. Yes. That should be obvious. But I have not always lived where I do now. Right now I live in the forests of Pennsylvania, and I'm staying in the forest. I like it. It's quiet. I like being surrounded by trees and animals and fresh air. But I grew up in the Bronx in New York City. And as a child, that was a very interesting experience. It was from the mid-60s to the late 70s. There was a lot of unrest in the cities at that time. Especially New York was seeing a lot of unrest. As a child, I'd witnessed a couple of riots. Yeah, fun times. And a lot of people were very concerned about the state of New York City. The city is still there, but it still has problems. We tend not to look at those. It's interesting. But then I was moved to New Milford, Connecticut, which at the age of 14 was a bit of a culture shock, going from deep, densely packed urban environment to pretty much the middle of nowhere. Not that New Milford is a nowhere town. It's actually, I think, still the largest town in Connecticut. And I finished high school there, which was also very interesting. I did not have a clean and clear path in high school. The only thing I knew was that I wanted to do something with the arts, although I was still fascinated with the sciences. In fact, when I was still in New York, I had passed the exams for the High School of Art and Design and the Bronx High School of Science, and I was trying to decide between the two when my family moved. So I ended up going to New Milford High School instead. And that was okay. It gave me a chance to really see a whole different culture. Everyone seems to think the United States has a solid single culture. It doesn't. Every state is different. I mean, you can really see the differences. Wyoming is not like Pennsylvania. Pennsylvania is not like Florida. Florida is not like Texas. We're all different from each other. That can be a source of strength as well as a source of division. But I don't want to get into politics. What I do want to, because politics is awful stuff. It seeps into everything and gets everything really nasty, and I don't like it. So I try to steer clear of that. I have yet to trust a politician, and I will never trust any politician, no matter who they are or where they're from. No, 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 no. Anyone who wants to be in charge is probably the least qualified to be in charge. So perhaps a lottery would be better. There's an idea. Yeah, I could write a book about that, though there was a short story about that at one time. In any case, moving to Connecticut gave me a real change of pace. Though I got into trouble a lot, I'll admit that. I was a bit of a troublemaker. That's okay. You know, if you're going to be a troublemaker in your youth. Because when you get older, bad things happen when you're a troublemaker. I ended up going to college at State University of New York at Purchase, which was for the arts, and was dismissed twice for insubordination. See, there's that whole thing about as you get older, the consequences of being a troublemaker, they raise the stakes. They really do. So that was an interesting experience, though. Scott Richter, who I really love, his work is fantastic. Look him up. He taught me the finer points of drawing, which I deeply appreciated. He was one of the best professors there. I hear he's not teaching there anymore, which is a shame because he was one of the few who actually knew what he was doing, which is why I got testy with some of the other professors. My advisor was Antonio Fresconi, who I still adore. He, wonderful human being, very creative, very sure of himself. I went from there and ended up in Westcon University in Connecticut. Did a tour as a philosophy major for a year, just to show I could get the grades, just to show I could do the work. And then switched back to the SUNY system to become a psychology major, which lasted for 3 years until they, pulled out my entire degree program. I don't know why, but they did. They just decided to shut down that degree program. It was very strange. Um, was working at a suicide hotline. That was interesting. Worked with schizophrenic adolescents at the Clearview School in New York, and bounced around for a bit. Bounced around. It was a very hard time for me. The work was very hard. You could say I worked in medical sector for a bit, and then medical sector took a bite out of me. And my doctor at the time recommended don't be doing this anymore. It's causing a lot of stress related problems for you. So, okay, was a entrepreneur. I was built a little business out of my basement, Dreaming Spirit Incense, which actually did better than I had thought it was going to, much to my surprise and much to my pleasure. And from there, I ended up out here in Pennsylvania after a troubling divorce, which I really am glad is behind me. I have no anger or anything at my ex-wife at all. Her life was as stifled by me as my life was stifled by her. We really were stifling each other. We were not free to be who and what we were. And since our separation, we both flourished, which was nice. That was nice to see. It's always good when people get that opportunity to flourish. So I really deeply believe in being true to yourself. And in all honesty, while she and I were very close friends at first, marrying each other didn't really work out. It really didn't work out. Living together became more and more difficult for both of us for various reasons. I was a member of the SCA at that time, the Society for Creative Anachronisms, was also a member of the Fantasy and Legends organization, which was kind of like a more fantastical LARPing group. Was also at one time a member of the Medieval Studies and Restoration group from Columbia University, and that was my first step into the medieval Reconstructionist world, which was fascinating, absolutely fascinating. I enjoyed it tremendously. But injuries and a new career kind of took the wind out of my sails. And I had to drop that in order to pursue my career as an artist. And there I was going for galleries. Wasn't doing the illustrator thing, wasn't going to be doing the, advertising thing. I really wanted to be in gallery. Did well locally, did well regionally. Was here and there in all different places. Actually got into some galleries in New York. And that was fine. That was fine, except it was a bit of a three-ring circus. Once you get to the big time, it gets strange very quickly. I mean, the art world is strange as it is, but big city art world is a whole different ball game. And I found I had to take on a persona in order to survive that environment, and that didn't sit well with me. I don't like putting on a persona. I like being who and what I am. I really, really like that. So I went freelance, and that was okay for a while. In the meantime, I ended up having a really major bit of surgery, and that really messed with me quite a bit. I was on a lot of medications for about a third of a year, and it was during that time I had a massive, massive dream that became the book Crew of Ganges. That sat in my head for about 12 years, thinking about it, knowing someday I wanted to write it down. Didn't like typing. Tried to learn touch typing 3 times. Didn't work. Never stuck. Don't care for it. Turns out I'm kind of glad I didn't, because my hands still feel good even after years of using the computer. So I think I dodged a bullet there. And when I decided to become an author and finally write the dream, which became the Crucible Spirals trilogy, including Crew of Ganges, Veil of Strife, and Painful Medicine, it took me a few years. I wanted the entire trilogy written. A friend of mine, Alfred McCarthy, who also has a YouTube page, he does book reviews, and he helped me out with getting things started, getting things planned, and being my first beta reader. Actually, he was an alpha reader. I mean, every idea that I wanted to put into the book went through him first. And he really helped me to gain some confidence that I knew what I wanted to say and how I wanted to say it. So the trilogy took me 3 years. 3 books, 3 years. Okay, this is good. This is good. Oh, yeah, an important thing. Pennsylvania is where my current wife, she had a house, and she was one of the only friends willing to take me in when I lost everything with the first divorce. Well, my only divorce. And she took me in and encouraged me with the arts. She became my patron before she became my wife, which really, really helped bring me onto a very creative path. Now I use my art talents to complete series that I'm still working on, like the Mammoth Cave series. Probably have to do a video about that at some point. And also I now do my own covers for my books. All my books, anything that's illustrated or drawn or painted, that's my own work. So getting that started, it was a long, long road to finally becoming an author. And in becoming an author, I made a decision. I looked at the contracts for publishing houses, and I did not like what I saw. It looked a lot like the galleries in New York City, and I did not want to repeat that experience. So I decided to self-publish. Right now, the agents are looking for a particular type of person. I think that's a mistake. I think they should be looking for talent. They're not looking for talent. They're looking for political messages. See what I mean about politics? So I figured, let me just do it on my own. And so far, the experience has been wonderful. I like self-publishing. It's a challenge. It really, really is. But I have a good team with me. I've got people who are helping me edit my books, proofread my books. I have people who help me with all aspects of creating my books. And now I'm in control of how my books are distributed, where, and for what purposes. And it gives me a lot of freedom to say and create the things that I want to create. And I think that's probably the most important thing that you can know about me, is that I insist that I will do what I wish to do. I'm a very independent-minded person. I do not like boxes. I do not like being put into a niche. That is not my bag. It's not what I like doing. It's not what I like being. I like being a one-man band. I like being the fringy outsider. And I like being someone who says, I'm going to do it my way. That's what I really am. I am a creator who likes to create what's from within. And so that's what I do. That's what I do. Most of my life has been put into my book so far in one form or another. And I've still got more to go. I've got dozens of ideas in my head for novels, short stories, novellas, trilogies. And I'm going to run with this ball for as long as I can, for as long as I'm alive. I hope you are willing to come with me on this journey. And I do hope that you enjoy what you're reading. And I also hope you enjoy these little videos. All right, so next week is going to be a bit of an announcement. Looking forward to that. I hope that you like this little tiny auto bio. And I will see you all next week, crew. So until then, you take care.